welcome. We are in the last module, that is the 40th module of consumer behavior, and in this module we will briefly discuss how to conduct research in the domain of consumer behavior. So, here after completing this particular chapter or module, you will be able to understand the consumer research process and the scope of consumer research. So, we first talk about this is the research process, 5-stage decision the research process which we will discuss, that is the problem definition, research design, data collection, data analysis and report presentation. So, we first try to see what are the scopes of doing consumer research and from where we have to define the problem. The scope is first the products and their development. So, all aspects of product development like idea generation, concept testing, production, launch, post launch decision call for an extensive consumer research. For example, if you want to develop a new product, so you may come up all the your engineers may come up with many kind of ideas about the product. Now, all these ideas you have to boil down to a particular design which you will actually produce. Okay. But for that you have to make some analysis how you have discarded the other ideas and you have selected a particular idea. A specific analysis like conjoint analysis helps to do that. You may want to identify the target market. This involves identifying the customer groups which are to be catered. It is important to understand the features of the target market in terms of, say, why do they purchase a certain product, what are the underlying reasons, why people are behaving in a particular, why people are buying online, why people are buying offline. So, all these things. What kind of benefits they seek from the product, like washing machine, are they using it as to wash clothes or they are using it as a lassi maker. So, what are their attitudes, opinions and how are the customers' tastes and needs and wants are shifting. So, for to understand the lifestyle trend, attitude, motivation of the customer, for everything actually we have to conduct some kind of research. And this is the analysis of the market part, for which also we require some kind of research, that what are the demographic and psychographic framework in which the target market is operating, what are the changing trends in demographics and psychographics and what are the implication of such changes in marketing strategy formulation. Distribution of the product. Consumer research is again an area where primarily targeted to find out the following: the available locations and possible opportunities for distributing a product, present methods of distributing the product and possible alternatives and comparatively better methods. We also try to find out suitable sales and promotion methods by research, and there the issues which we mainly address are which are the most appealing methods of selling and promoting the products to the target customers. Are the teaser campaigns more effective or the sales promotion most effective or advertising most effective one? Should we go for a non-traditional mode of promotion or should we go for a traditional mode of promotion? What should be the optimal coverage and frequency of media advertisement? Shall we go for a prime time slot? Shall we go for an afternoon slot? Where? What are the commercials viewed by right audience or the promotion has resulted in unnecessary exposures? If I am talking about a detergent, why to promote it during the football match? No issues. No? So, during the football match mostly the masculine, it is better to promote masculine products more at that time, or other brands like motorcycles and many other things we can promote at that time. We can also promote cold drinks and all this at that time, but Surf Excel at that time may not really create any impact because the audience of the users of Surf Excel at that time may not be watching football. It is best place to position your Surf Excel or any other detergent during the soaps and cereals, which mostly the female or the ladies of the house watch more. So, this cannot be typecast, but however, this is a common practice which we are saying. Then what type of media they are exposed to? Some people, they are avid readers. For example, you want to target the very busy executives who are very frequently traveling in the aircraft. Then Swagat kind of magazine, which is the Air India magazine or Jet Privilege, Jet magazines, and all these magazines, the airlines magazine can be of your best use. So, does the product require any celebrity endorsement? If so, which celebrity's persona would be appropriate to match with the brand's characteristics? So, which means here we are trying to match the celebrity's personality with the brand's characteristics. So, therefore, it could be many. These are only a few which I have highlighted here, but there could be many actually. Okay, many kind of problems which may has to be addressed. So, therefore, we come to these steps now. The first step, as we have discussed, is the problem definition. So, we come to that first. So, we say that while defining the problem, the researchers must take a careful note of the purpose of the study, that is the pertinent background information, exactly what the researcher wants to find out. I will give you one very small example. Say United Aam Aadmi Bima Yojana. This is a very lucrative health insurance policy for the poor, because the insurance policy amount is very less and they get a considerable coverage out of it. Product design is very nice, government provides lot of subsidy also, but it was found that the penetration was not so high. But when now then what is the reason behind it? So, if we just define that the product is not doing well, what is the reason behind it? We may end up with so many reasons. So, we have to here boil down to certain aspects. Was there any problem in target market selection? No, it is understood that there are a lot of BPL population or APL population and they are prone to different diseases also. They sell their assets to cover up their medical expenditures. So, therefore, the need wise or the target segmentation select wise, there was no problem. Now, then what is the problem? Is there any problem related to the product itself? Is the premium too high? No, the premium was also not again too high. So, then what is the other thing? So, we have to charge it this way. What are the prevailing things? What is the paying capacity of this kind of customers initially? So, is the product design the problem? No. Then we move to the second one. Okay, then is the premium structure a problem? May or may not be. If the premium structure is not the problem, then whether there is any kind of promotional issues which could be highlighted, or is there any is the product actually reaching to the customer before they evaluate on the basis of price, or they evaluate whether the product is good or bad. For that, first the product has to reach to them. Has the product reached to them? So, if I start asking me the question like this and go for a secondary research and start digging up data from previous reports, I may end up with understanding that there may be some problem that the product might not have reached them. So, my research area, the problem definition would be, now in this case, how to make the product that is the this particular Aam Aadmi Bima Yojana reachable to the customers. So, if I can find out this avenue, probably my why it is not penetrating, that problem could be solved. If I can find out why it is not reaching to the customer. So, which means now I am focusing on the promotion and distribution aspect as such. So, this is how you have, from a broad area of problem, you have to actually narrow down your objective. Okay. This is how you define the specific problem. And this may require some discussion with the industry expert. It may require some analysis, which I said, analysis of secondary data. You may not have any secondary data also. Then in that case, you go and interview some focus group interview to the respondents, and by that you can gain some knowledge. You can go for in-depth interview to some few respondents and try to find out in which what could be the probable area of problem. So, from there you have to define your research problem very accurately. Then is, once you have determined, okay, this is my problem, that okay, why this insurance product is not reaching to the customer. So, if this is my problem, then the second step has to be developing an approach to the problem. So, this stage involves the developing the theoretical background, identifying the research questions, forming the hypothesis, etc. So, what are this? Theoretical background means what are the early researches which has happened in this area, if any. I will jot down what are the parameters which they have noted and try to test whether these are applicable in the kind of target group I am also working or not. Secondly, research questions. What could be the research question in this case? Is the, say I am talking about only about the reach. So, in reach I will talk about whether this was promoted to these people or not. Are the people aware about this or not? Second, I have to check that whether the agents have reached to them or not, whether I am using only traditional mode of insurance distribution, that is the agents, or I am using any other mode of insurance distribution there. Will the other mode of insurance distribution will be more effective? So, all this I can frame as my research questions. Then the process is conducted primarily by discussion. As I said, I can discuss with the management professional, I can see the case studies, previous research reports, and I can also conduct a pilot study for that. So, this is the step which will be considered as the groundwork for formulating the research design. Now, we come to the most important part of the consumer research, that is the research design formulation. Now, in research design formulation, this is the skeleton. First, we go for secondary data analysis. This is the established reports. From the report, for example, we want to understand the consumer based brand equity of some Indian hospitals. Then, what are the dimensions we should look into? So, we will see that maybe the perceived quality of the hospital, maybe the brand awareness of different hospitals, maybe the brand image of different hospitals may play a role to select the to enhance the brand equity of that hospital. There could be some other things also to select an Indian hospital, maybe the infrastructure of the hospital is another parameter. So, these are the things which I may derive from theory, which means the earlier researchers, they have already analyzed it. So, I can go through several papers, particularly the recent papers, to identify what could be the probable areas where I should consider to build up brand equity. So, similarly, for this insurance case which I was saying, that I have to see what could be the other what could be the promotional media which has been traditionally used by different insurance companies, what are the hindrances, then what could be the possible things which the companies have not thought. So, what are the impacts of using those media like maybe the social workers or NGO workers in this process, or maybe community based model in this process. So, what in earlier are there any case studies like this, and what are the outcomes of this? Of course, there are several this kind of Yashashini trust is there, then Jawahar scheme is there in Rajasthan. So, there are so many schemes which are Seva is there, community based health insurance scheme, they are also having Vaimo Seva which is formed by self employed women's association in Gujarat. So, there are several community based schemes also. So, we can try to find out which mode is the best one. So, we can do this if we find out from the secondary data analysis which mode is the most suitable one. Then we identify what are the sources of the primary data. From where can we collect data? Which are the areas who should be our customers, from which geographical locations we will collect. Then methods of collecting, should we collect by survey, observation, experimentation, which way we want to collect. Because see, survey is like filling up questionnaire kind of, observation may be like I am just observing a person and writing an observation report every day like a diary, and then maybe after 1 month I will see how the person has behaved over a month. Now, there is experimentation. Experimentation is often used in ad research or advertising research, where in the laboratory setup you can put some respondents in front of computer and you can see how they are responding to different kind of ads. Before and after ad, how their opinions are differing or what is their perception about the ad. So, that is an experimentation framework you can create. Then comes another important part, that is the sampling plan. Now, sampling plan consists of actually 4 major elements. First is what type of sampling we are going to use. There are several types of sampling. Some probabilistic sampling technique is there, some non-probabilistic sampling technique is there. Now, probabilistic sampling technique are like random sampling. You can select anybody from the population. Now, there could be stratified random sampling, which means I am defining an income class, or I am defining a geographical section from where I will be selecting customers. So, which means but within that geographical, like rural, within rural I am selecting at random. So, which means, or a particular income group, within that I am selecting at random. So, which means I am defining a strata, but within that strata I am selecting at random. Then comes systematic random sampling, which means kind of maybe every 5th respondent you are surveying, or every 10th house you are surveying, like that. Then there could be some kind of non-probabilistic sampling technique. Non-probabilistic means first is a convenience sampling, whomsoever you feel you are comfortable to get data from, so you are surveying them, but this can result in too much of errors. Only in the pilot data you can use this, or for qualitative research you can use, otherwise not very much advisable. Judgmental sampling, where the researcher use their own judgment, though it is also a type of convenience sampling, because researcher will identify the samples based on his convenience, but he will use some judgment to select the sample, because the person is he likely to buy any insurance maybe, or is he requires an insurance, what is his propensity to ailment. So, maybe the propensity to ailment is the judgment which I am putting here as a barrier to select anybody as my respondent in this case. So, there could be some geography quota sampling in the same way, male female quota I can select, this percentage female, this percentage male. There could be multi-phase sampling also. Multi-phase sampling, like first I may select some geographical area, then within that geographical area I may further select some rural areas in those geographical area. In those rural areas I may see that the places where the customers are where the literacy level is slightly higher. So, all this data I have to get from the secondary research, and accordingly I can go for a multi-phase sampling also. So, this is all about the sampling types. Then comes about your sampling unit. Whom are you going to survey? The farmers, the artisans, the maid servants, whom are you going to survey for this particular Aam Aadmi Bima Yojana? So, you please list down the types of people or the units whom you are going to survey, the head of the family or anybody in the family. So, those things has to be clarified. That is a sampling unit. Then is sample size, how many customers you are going to survey. There are definite formulas for sample size determination. I am not going in that details, because it is not a MR session. So, but based on the requirement you can actually use different formula to find out the exact sample size required depending on the extent of precision level you allow. After sampling size, you have to decide on the extent of the sampling, I mean which areas you are going to collect your data from. After the sampling plan is your next part, that is your scale design and formation of your questionnaire. What question to ask? So, from the literature or from focus group interview or from in-depth interview, you can do a content analysis to find out the items and the construct which you need to further test. So, that way you design your scale, and after you design your questionnaire, then you can plan for the analytical tool. Because see, what analytical tool again depends on what is my intention. If my intention is new, I want to see the new product development part, like which should be the optimal characteristics or features of my new product. So, for that I may go for a conjoint analysis. I want to go for market segmentation for say motorcycles, then I can go for cluster analysis. I may want to know the underlying factors behind the failure of my product, I may go for a factor analysis for that. Okay. If I say I want to see that the voting which kind of political campaign of which party is more effective, okay, which is more effective. So, to know that I may which means that I want to see that how many customers are likely to vote to Hillary Clinton, or how many customers are likely to vote to Trump. So, if I want to Donald Trump, so if I want to see this, I may go for a discriminant analysis, which may give me a clear understanding that which kind of customers are likely to vote Mrs. Clinton and which kind of customers are likely to vote Mr. Trump. So, this depends on what kind of analysis I will do, that depends on what I want. I may want to find out the relative importance of different attributes. So, in that case I may go for analytic hierarchical process also to find out the relative importance. So, there could be many. Then I may have to go for the data collection phase. In data collection phase, if it is a questionnaire based survey, then you can actually go to the field and collect the data. Personal interview in home or intercept you can do, computer based personal interview you can send to the contacts over online Google Docs and all these things. Telephonic interview is also sometimes done, but and the supervisor has to look after, so that there is minimization in data collection error. Now, one thing you should understand here is that there could be different ways of data collection. The researcher himself may collect the data, but if it is a big research like Hindustan Unilever or a very big organization, they want to collect mass data. So, in that case they may ask for freelancers. I mean, they have given it to the market research agency, they may resort to freelancers, but the freelancers usually they need to be get monitored also. Freelancers are those people, those who get per day, on per day basis they get some amount, or per questionnaire they are paid, and they go out to the field and get the questionnaire filled up by the respondents. After you get that, then the data, then you have to go for data editing, because lot of missing values would be there. You can edit those, then you have to code the, and then there could be redundant data also, then there could be, then you have to code it, transcribe it, quality control it, judge the reliability of the scale. There are several reliability techniques. Then you have to judge the validity of the scale also. There are ideally you have to judge the construct validity of the scales like convergent and discriminant validity of the scale. Now, each questionnaire is actually a check, or a checklist has to be thoroughly inspected and edited. If necessary, it has to be corrected during validity, after validity or reliability if it is not performing the reliability test, and you may have to go for a second round data collection after that. If it is a qualitative data and you want to convert it into a numeric one, then you have to see that what kind of coding you will do. Data validation, as I have said, and then the interpretation of the data, and if you are dealing with a single measurement of sampling unit, like say age or any purchase items of something. So, if you are dealing with one single measurement, then you can go by univariate techniques, but in market research, particularly when you are talking about consumer research, ideally, as I have said, that price is not the only determinant of consumer decision making, there could be many. So, if when you are talking about many determinants, so in that case you may have to actually go for multivariate data analysis technique, which is like regression, factor analysis, cluster analysis, and all structural equation modeling, all this for analyzing your data. After you have analyzed your data, then you have to prepare your report and presentation. So, this is the sequence of writing any consumer research report. First, you have to write the preface, why you are in which context you have started doing this research, and then the executive summary of the entire research. Then you have the content list, figures, tables, list of figures and tables. Then you write the introduction. In introduction, you are basically have to contextualize the problem. In this case, I was saying that why this insurance policy has not been penetrating in the rural mass, amongst the rural masses. So, if that is my question, then how do I arrive to this question, and how do I say that from that to up to reach? I have said so why it is not penetrating, and secondly I am saying that after analyzing that product price on this literature, then I have finally said that I will judge why it has not reached the customers. Okay. So, therefore, so that is the the introduction part I have to write in just that, and then in theoretical background I have to elaborately do the literature review and justify what I have said in the introduction section, define the problem, then the research design which I have already mentioned, the details about that, then the analysis of the data, then discussion on the findings, and then after the findings whatever recommendation, like if you have identified why it is not reaching to the customer, maybe because of the traditional model may not work, community based model might be a better choice. So, you can give those recommendation and finally conclude. In conclusion, what you have to do is you have to start that what was your objective of the research, and then how you, what kind of findings you have got, and what is the outcomes, what is the outcome or your conclusion from that findings, that you will write, followed by appendices where you will actually put the figures and tables. And this bibliography, this is a list of the references or the literature which you have referred to. So, this is in short the consumer decision making process, and this completes our course of consumer behavior. Thank you.